Welcome to another episode of Raise the Rank Podcast. My name is Chuck Magee with Raise the Rank.
Brandon Samuel, Raise the Rank.
I know this is on video and we're talking about a podcast. We're simulcasting this and we're shooting a YouTube video and we're also going to put this out on our podcast. Today, our topic is basically leads, Brandon, and that's why Brandon's here. That's his expertise is sales, helping you guys taking a lead all the way through the funnel and closing that thing and making money with it. So, Brandon, I'm going to talk a little bit about generating that lead because that's kind of what I do.
Right.
We're going to talk about a Google lead today, not a Canvas lead. And we're going to talk about how you take that lead and you make money with it. So, obviously, we're going to have some pay-per-click going on out there. Hopefully, our Google My Business is going to be generating some calls. And let's talk about getting that lead over. First and foremost, let's talk about answering that phone.
No kidding.
Because that's
important.
That's something I was bringing up to all of my clients here just this week, because Google is working with something called CallJoy. So Google is actually going to start answering people's phones for them. They got an AI in there, artificial intelligence, and you're going to be able to train that thing to answer your phone, because statistically Google is saying that 50% of all phone calls to small to mid-sized business go unanswered. That's a lot of business that there's people out there missing. Yeah. So first off, how are you answering that lead? How are you scoring that lead? What are you doing with that lead? Obviously, we're wearing our SSA shirts today. That is our number one tool. That's our roofing CRM. We've spent 7 years developing that, and we certainly want everybody out there to take a look at that. It might be the perfect CRM for you. That is one way that you can put a lead into a system and take care of it, nurture it, and develop it. So, Brandon, you spent years as a salesman and several years as a sales manager and trainer. So let's talk about that lead that I just generated by pay-per-click or Google My Business. Either way, it's close to the same lead.
Right.
Google My Business is better because they're going to be able to see your reviews, which are extremely important. You came out of a company that had a lot of Google reviews, so we'll let that be another episode one day when we're talking about reviews and how that will help these guys close these deals. But take us from a lead, Brandon, and talk a little bit about the complexities of a pay-per-click lead as opposed to a Google My Business lead. Certainly a referral, that's the easiest thing in the world to close. But let's take a Google pay-per-click lead and say that it was just issued to you. Now we need to get it into a CRM. We need to get it into a system. But talk to them about how to make money with it. Are they financing it? Kind of walk us through some of those things.
Well, so first off, when the lead comes in and it's handled correctly on the phone, two-legged appointment should be set at that point. There's no sense. We can get over a lot of objections. We can talk about a lot of things, and we can educate these homeowners to make better buying decisions. But when it comes down to all the decision makers being there, that's extremely important. And once we get there, we can't take it back.
So you're talking about a two-legged appointment.
That's it. So making sure that we're going to get all the decision makers there, however that may be, whether it's the wife and the husband, whether it's the son and the dad, whether it's the brother and the sister, whoever it may be involved. We want to make sure all the decision makers are there, that we were showing them everything that we're there and everything we have to offer. From there, Google pay-per-click leads are pretty hard to close statistically compared to all the other types of leads.
Statistically, you're going to close 3 out of 10.
That's it.
Now, you may be a rock-solid closer, and you were a better closer than average, so you might get 4, you might get 5, you might even get 6.
Right.
But that's still going to leave some leads there, and we'll talk about that lead nurturing a little bit later.
Absolutely.
But you're right. Statistically, you're going to be dealing with 3 out of 10.
That's it, 3 out of 10. So making sure that you do everything that you possibly can with those pay-per-click leads to help yourself to, number one, close that deal, and then help that homeowner as well. There's a lot of things that you can do, but financing is crucial. And I don't think that we've ever talked about the financing.
No, we have not on a podcast and not on a YouTube. So you and I were talking about that last week, and we were working with roof crafters. Of course, they're in the same city, so they're a big client of ours. But what was that statistic you were telling me? Because it was pretty staggering as far as if you do or do not show or offer financing. Tell me that statistic again, because it was
nationally 50% of people making major purchases. $9,000 plus roof. I mean, for sure, 50% of those people are going to want to use financing. 50% of those people are going to want to have some type. They're not going to want to come out of the cash.
So what you're saying is, out of the 7 that you're probably not going to close, you would have closed more of them had you offered financing.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's not something the homeowner is going to talk to you about in the home for sure. Money can be a difficult thing to talk about. And bring up in conversation.
You were geared to get that objection.
That's it.
Up front, and and that's a whole nother animal as far as getting an objection up front instead of in the closing questions. So we're not going to go there. But you're right. And here's the thing: they're not going to tell you if they just got busted with an AC unit. Big repair or big repair on a car or something. They're not gonna. Most people are not gonna do that. That's a more private matter than what they're gonna come to a stranger and tell. And let's face it, you're a stranger at that point. Excuse me. Hopefully, we got something out there. In SSA, you're gonna get a welcome email with a lot of information about your company and a link to your website and things like that. So that's gonna warm them up a little bit. There's a lot of things that you can do, again, in lead nurturing, and we'll talk about that. But let's just assume that they're not going to tell you that.
Right. No,
so you've got to be diligent and train your salesman to offer that. And that's a tough thing to do. And it's where do you lay that out? At your price layout, or
So you would lay that out in the price layout, of course, and then in the close, you would want to ask them if they're open to that option, and however you use that close question.
Tell me that pitch that you were using, because it's at the end of the project. Now, of course, there's a lot of training, there's steps in that, but.
So ideally, we would want to use a price layout. So I would want to show monthly options along with the total price of the project, and then I would lay it out and ask that decision maker if they were going to go with our total price, cash price, or they want to take advantage of some of our payment options. And if you don't offer it in that close, how do they know you have it, Chuck? How do they know? And we talk to roofers all the time, and a very small percentage of people are actually using this financing like they should. And they're missing out on a huge
I agree.
market, a huge business, because people, if you can get them financed, people will go with those payment options.
And you've got 2 major ones out there, just in case we're anybody's watching or listening that doesn't even know the ones that are out there. It's possible. You've got Green Sky and you've got Service Finance. Hearth is out there, but the feedback that we've gotten on Hearth is it's hard to get a project financed through Hearth.
Yeah. And
so we haven't really heard a whole lot about getting a large percentage of, say, 10, 20, or 50 deals. I'm hearing 12%, 11%, 10%. That's not good. Because you can't just keep running these people's credit. So Service Finance, I think, is one that is a big one. Yeah. Green Sky is too, and we're integrated with Green Sky as far as their application in SSA, because they like a paper application. Service Finance, I think, is really big on their app. That is huge. Do you offer financing? So we've gone through a couple of things. How are you answering your phone? Are you setting up 2-leggeds?
That's it.
Because that is a big deal, because you'll tell us right quick the number one reason for not closing a deal at the table with your client is it's a 1-legged appointment.
Well, we can learn how to navigate through the conversation and the close, but if we don't have the people there to make the decision, then it's all for nothing, Chuck. It's all for nothing. So making sure that both people are there are one of the absolute most important things you can do.
Okay, so let's move on from the lead from offering financing and making sure, obviously it's backing up, make sure we answer the phone, we've got the 2-legged, we've got the lead, and we've offered financing. So now we are we need to talk about making money on that deal.
Right.
So we don't want to look up and have sold 30, 35, 40 jobs during the month and come to find out we're thin on our profit margin. So there's so many things that we can get into, and man, we can go down some rabbit holes here, Brandon. We can sit here and talk for hours on some of this stuff. So that we're bringing things to your attention that will help you close deals. Number one today we're talking about is how do you deal with your lead, and then offering finance so you can close more leads.
That's it. And
we're going to use the subject matter here to do a lot more podcasting and some other things so we can dive deeper into each subject. We don't want to get too long here, under 7, 8, 9 minutes. But there's some good stuff here, and it's about your money. And that's what we're concerned with, is helping you guys make more money, generate more leads, because your leads are finite. You're only going to get so many. Whether we're helping you with Google My Business, we're helping you with pay-per-click, we're still only going to get a certain number of leads. So we've got to treat those leads like gold and turn those leads into a client. And then we need to talk about conversion optimization. That's something that's important because let's say you get 50, 60 qualified leads, and we can help qualify those leads for you. So if you get 50 qualified leads, how many are you closing? So that's where you come in. We got to find out how many we're closing. Then at the end of the day, we need to maximize that. So we need to be doing some upgrades, and we need to make sure that our pricing, we're here to help you go in priced at the higher end. We don't want you to be priced cheap. We want you to be one of the highest guys in town if you're not the highest guy in town. That is the life you live.
Sure, that's it.
Your salesmen are going to make more profit or more money. You're going to make more profit, and it's better for the client if you sell upgrades because guess what? They got a better roof.
That's it.
I mean, a lot of people. I've heard somebody say one time, you're just gouging. You're not gouging anything. You're making sure that client is getting the product that they need. You're doing them a disservice if you're not putting new drip edge on there and you're not giving them a true hip and ridge. They need a 130 mile an hour warranty around the whole house.
That's it.
Not just on the film shingles, but now didn't one's going to come out with something that if you don't put hip on there, that they're not going to give you 130 on the field shingles anymore?
So a lot of manufacturers were afraid maybe moving to this, but if the roof system doesn't match the wind rating that you're in, the manufacturer's not going to cover the wind.
Okay, well, I can see that point. It's just like the insurance companies. Roof Preppers is in the Baton Rouge market, so
right.
I-12 I think is a kind of a barrier there for the wind speeds and the wind loads and things. Even with duration, you got to put 6 nails north of the interstate. South interstate, you can get away with 4 north. So like we got some guys in Memphis. So if you're in Memphis, you can put 4 nails in a duration, but down in Ponchatoula, you can't.
That's right.
So, but giving them a true hip and ridge is giving them a better product. They're going to be happier in the end. They're going to be vested. Let's face it, a customer that has got money invested in that roof, not that you're eating the deductible and not that you're giving hip and ridge away or you're putting 3-tab on there, that guy that came out of his pocket for the deductible and spent $1,200 on hip and ridge is going to appreciate his roof more.
Well, and you want to educate these homeowners. Now, you may know that the hip and ridge needs to be 130 mile an hour. You may know that the shingle needs 6 nails beyond a certain threshold. But does the homeowner know that? These are the things that will lead that homeowner to spending more money with you, being more comfortable, and leaving great reviews, is actually educating them in the process so that they know more than their neighbors. If you're not doing the neighbor's house, they know more than everybody around them why that roof is what it is and why it was more expensive. And they're going to sleep a lot better that night after they stroke that check.
I agree. I'm glad that you rolled into the review because if you don't right this minute, and I'm gonna get some statistics out. We like to give a lot of information out, but one of the things that I've been hollering for a long time now is the customer experience or client. We like to call them a client, but the client experience. That is taken over as the number one thing that is driving somebody to do business with another company. So what does your reputation and client experience look like in those reviews? And they can plain as day see it in the reviews.
Yep.
Because if you've got a ton of reviews and there's a bunch of good write-ups in there about you, and they're mentioning your sales team by name, you by name, the company by name, the type of roofing products that they got by name. I got this great roof, and they talk about those things. That means that a salesman educated that homeowner.
That's it. That's
so
exactly true.
There is no question about that it helps with the reviews. The reviews are going to help you get more business. It's going to help you close more contracts. One of the statistics, and this is coming from Google, businesses that have 200, and I know this sounds like a lot of reviews, but businesses that have 200 plus reviews double their income after they hit that 200 threshold. That is a staggering number. That's
right crazy.
There. So if you can, of course, you got to, and that leads back into the reviews. Of course, that's not anything to do with the lead, but it helps you close the lead. So if you can get those reviews, it's going to help you lock those deals down. And, that's for another YouTube and another podcast. And I know that I've done some with Michael over at Roof Crafters because they do collect a lot of reviews.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're going to help coach and help do, and we're here to do those things. But before we get too long, let's wrap it up with it's important how you answer your phone.
Yes.
It's important that you answer your phone. It's important that you qualify your leads. that you set your two-legged appointments, that you offer financing, that you take that and you close at a good, strong profit margin, and then that you have a great client experience. Because it's going to force you to reassess what your business is like. And the thing is, we're here to help work with the clients that want to elevate their game. And doing that is going to help you make more money and make more profit, and it's going to propel you into the future. Period.
Take care of that client will take care of you.
That's it. All right. I think that was a good one, and we'll kind of strip this one down and into pieces and do one thing where we'll talk about how do you set that two-legged, because I know that you've got a lot of training experience in that. So maybe we'll take a lead one day and we'll talk about the front end of the lead, catching the lead on the phone call and setting a two-legged.
You opened up a lot of things.
Yeah, you really
review
do.
us. We didn't touch on that at all.
No.
But, there's a lot of things for us to go through.
Well, we can do some deeper dives. Yeah, but sure. We'll take those one-offs and we'll do some of those. Hopefully we'll get some of those in the next couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
All right, sounds good. Great episode.
Yep.